Good YouTube, Quinn Wade coming to y'all with an analysis on the what to expect of the Los Angeles Clippers on analysisplayground.com and on YouTube, and what we can expect from this team. Will they be a playoff team? Will they be a play-in team? Will Kawhi Leonard be healthy for majority of the season like he was last year? And will that be enough without Paul George? Because they had James Harden come in there and help them make a late push, you know, in the ending of the season to be a quality team. But Kawhi Leonard goes out and they really can't win a series without him because he's their best player. He's the franchise. And then we remember that the Clippers gave him a 3-year extension, knowing that he's been in and out of the lineup in the regular season and in the playoffs. But they still feel like this is the guy for them when it comes to a franchise, and he hasn't really been available. And they said the best availability is being ready and being there when you need him, if not all of the time. And he just never really available or dependable. But we still call him a superstar because of what he can do on both ends of the court and the fact that he can close games and he just impossible to guard individually. And this is why we got to this point of giving the Clippers credit, because they still finished 51-31, number one in the Pacific standings, over the Phoenix Suns, over the Lakers, over Sacramento, over Golden State. And that was done fairly easy, as they were still 2 games ahead before the season even was over. And it's just interesting to see where they go now, knowing that they lost a huge piece of their team. And no more Westbrook, but they brought in Chris Dunn, who's an athletic guard, not the greatest playmaker, but a solid defender, a guy that can knock down the mid-range possibly and get to the paint. We don't really know what he's going to be because he's a guy that's always missing or injured. So we haven't really got a good large sample size of what he can be as an individual player. And the better you are individually, the more your teammates can feed off you as a team to make their jobs easier. He can run the offense. He can really play, but he's really their biggest acquisition this summer. Just trying to get a two-way player that Kawhi Leonard can kind of teach and kind of, mold into the point guard that they need. They ran through John Wall. They ran through Russell Westbrook. And now they're trying Chris Dunn. I don't know if he's going to be their starting point guard, but he is a guy that's very, very intriguing to see what he can be and what he can do. And if he can really, figure out his career and become a two-way type of player that you actually seen him being in the draft. And then you look at Amir Coffey, a guy that not going to get a huge amount of playing time, but they're going to depend on him trying to score the basketball. He showed that he can put the ball in the basket a little bit. He just don't have the biggest role, but I can see that making sense again this year. Same with Cam Christie and Kobe Brown. These guys are not going to get a crazy amount of playing time. They're young, they're fun, they can do some things, but I don't really see them cracking a big part of the rotation. And Mohamed Bamba, he's been moving around from here to there to there to here, and he's just a long, big, athletic body that not the greatest scorer, not the greatest rim protector, not the greatest rebounder, but he's a guy that people feel like if you have him as a backup or you have him as the third string center, you're not going to complain that much because that's basically what he's going to be. And then we look at Bones Highland, a quick, fast guard that can put the ball in the basket. He's been on this team for a couple years. He fits contractually. He does exactly what they need him to do, come off the bench and add a little juice to the offense. And I think that that's something that he can continue to do. One of the acquisitions that a lot of people have been talking about is Derrick Jones Jr., long body, very fast, very quick, solid defensively, and a guy that can hit some shots. They're gonna need him to be able to get out in transition. They're going to need him to be able to make a corner three. They're going to need him to be able to cut to the basket and get some lobs or get some dump offs and be able to finish at a good level. And I think that he can do that already. But will that be enough? They need him to be second string when it comes to Kawhi Leonard coming off the court. That's a drop off. But then again, he's just looking for opportunity to show that he can still compete and he's still one of the better players to put around your stars. And I think that he can do that, you know. And Terrence Mann, this is another guy that has shown that he fits what they're wanting to do. He's obviously a guy that can get you double figures. He's a guy that's efficient for the most part. He's a guy that can shoot a three if you need him to be able to do that, and he can kind of get to the free throw line or create his own shot to a certain extent. Same thing you can say for Kevin Porter Jr., a lefty that can really be able to score, push that offense. He's been having some problems off the court his whole entire career, but people overlook it because what he brings to the table as a player offensively, not the greatest defensive player, but this guy can really light it up. Not the most efficient guy from the field, capable of making the three, even off the dribble. He's a solid rebounder, a solid passer, a guy that can really contribute in a lot of ways. And for him to be able to come off the bench, that just strengthens what you're trying to do. And the fact that you also have Norman Powell, a guy that can get you a basket, you know, from three, from mid range off the dribble. He can get to the basket. He's a solid free throw shooter, a guy that can actually dunk the basketball too in transition, and very strong and very stocky. And he's been, you know, a player that Kawhi Leonard trusts and believes can be great, and a guy that can really help this team offensively. PJ Tucker is another guy that he's aging and he's not as great defensively. He doesn't make his shots as much as he used to. He's not really going to require a crazy amount of minutes. He's one of the guys that James Harden's going to vouch for. He knows what he's capable of. He knows what he can do. He knows that PJ Tucker likes to stay out the way. He's not a ball hog or anything like that. He's not a ball holder. It's either he has a shot or he's moving it. And he's a guy that can still make a shot if you don't pay attention to him. He can get free, he can get open, and he can punish you because of that. And that's what his role always been in the NBA, besides being a physical defender. And then you look at Vika Zubac. He's a big body, very smooth, very quick, low maintenance, great rebounder for his size and his position. And you just want to see if he can do a little bit more offensively, because that's what you're going to have to do. You're going to either have to give the ball up early, you're going to have to go straight up, or you're going to have to go up with force and with power just to take advantage of those opportunities that you're not going to have that much of unless you're getting your own shot or calling your own number, which I want to see him do more of. Like, be more a guy that's confident, be more of a guy that feels that he can have a bigger role on the team, because somebody has to do it. I mean, Kawhi Leonard is a guy that's 33 years old, and you look at the fact that James Harden is already older than him, and this team is really at a point where somebody has to do something to help this duo, because they're not the most healthiest the last couple years, and James Harden turning 35 didn't really help that argument. You know, he's been injured with the hamstrings and stuff like that, and he's been able to, you know, fight his way back to the court. And James Harden is still one of the best facilitators, one of the best passers, still a guy that can get you 20 plus points, still a guy that you can run your offense through, or you can have him be the offense without Russell Westbrook, without Paul George. Obviously, his role is going to increase, and they're going to need him to do more, but they also have less talent that needs the ball and less talent that he's might become the system again, where he's handling the ball, playing in pick and roll, trying to get the easiest, simplest, flat line offense that they can get out of him, and then Kawhi Leonard can play on and off the ball, or he can get a switch that he likes and attack one-on-one, or, you know, James Harden can play off the ball a little bit and get some rest and still be able to knock down shots. So he is getting at least, you know, a point of his career where he's not as athletic. He's not really knocking down his jump shots at a crazy amount. He's still above average from three, still a great free throw shooter, still one of the best passing guards in the league. And now they need him to play a bigger role. Last year he was already playing 34 minutes. Now he's going to be in an offense where he possibly might be more comfortable, and I think that that's a good thing for the most part. But is it going to lead them to being a great team, knowing that James Harden is 35, knowing that he's getting injured more frequently with the minor ones, and knowing that Kawhi Leonard can poof and vanish and disappear at any time. I just think it's tough to see the Clippers being that great when Golden State made a lot of moves. The Lakers still got their 1-2 punch, and they might be healthier. Sacramento got DeMar DeRozan, so they're going to be better. And the Suns still got KD, Bradley Beal, and Devin Booker with a better bench, with a better starting lineup that fits what they're trying to do and helps them reach a different level consistently. Will this team still be number one? Well, it's another season, and they really relying on some older guys to carry a lot of weight and do a lot of things. And I just don't think that is realistic for the Clippers to be as good as they have been. I just feel like it's going to be a minor drop off, maybe 5 wins difference, 6 win difference, and that's honestly enough in the Western Conference to be a non-playoff team or a play-in team. But the Clippers have been a top 6 team for a while, or in that conversation for being it when they're healthy. But that's with Paul George, not without him. So I think Paul George do cost you 5 to 6 wins, and you think that he should cost you more, but that's just as good. That's just how good Kawhi Leonard is. That's just how good James Harden are when they're healthy, that they are the primary difference maker of you winning and losing a basketball game, because they just that unguardable, unstoppable, and they know how to figure out to manipulate the defense or play the defense so that way their teammates can get shots and they can create their own shot. And that just puts you in a tough situation where something got to give, aka pick your poison. So I look at it like the Clippers, they're going to be here. They're going to be relevant. They're going to be in the play-in conversation. They're going to be in the playoff conversation, because if you're in the play-in game, if you're 7th or 8th, you only got to win one game to be able to lock up a playoff seed. And if you don't win that game, you have another opportunity still to lock it up. So that's all they have to do is be 6th, 7th, or 8th, and then they already a playoff team, because it's that easy to do it after a while. But what's really the point when Kawhi Leonard not going to be there the whole run? What's really the point where he can disappear for unknown reasons? And since you're not really trying to win a championship anyway, and you really got a tough chance to do it with Kawhi Leonard and the antics that he's really been doing, what's really the point? What's the point of making the playoffs for the Clippers when you're not really going to win a championship anyway? That's what I look at this roster. I like what I see. I like what they can do. I like what they can, possibly be when they're healthy. But then again, like, is this a championship contender? That's out the window now. We knew that the last 3 years. It's Denver, it's Minnesota, it's the Mavericks, it's a team like the Celtics. Those teams are way too much better than a team like the Clippers now. The Clippers was in a situation 2 to 3 years ago where they was playing catch up. Let's make another move. Let's make another move to keep us in contention, to keep us, in the same conversation talent wise. But if you're not going to have Kawhi Leonard and he's not going to show up and you can't depend on him on a nightly basis, what's the real point of trying to build a team around a guy that disappears and vanishes too much? There's nothing you can do about it. This is just reality. And they kept tying themselves up to this situation to the point where you can't feel sorry for them, or you can't really, have any sympathy for them, because they knew what they had, they knew what they was getting, and they continue to put themselves in this predicament. And it's unfortunate, but it is what it is, because they chose to sign him again to a 3-year extension. So I look at it like this is a team that's going to always be competitive. They're going to always be a tough out when they're healthy, or a tough beat. But then again, if you're not winning a championship, which is the purpose of getting him and Paul George in the first place, then it's all a waste. This is just him putting up more stats, him getting more accolades. Same with James Harden, them getting their numbers. They already top 75. They already some of the greatest players ever. They already took their franchises at their peak of their career as far as they can take them. Now they're just playing ball because they love it. They still enjoy it. And now they just trying to fit as much as they can fit, into this team. And they still got the pride and a false hope of feeling that they can still contribute to winning, which they can, just not in the playoffs and not too much in a regular season. So I see this team winning 48, 47, 45 games, and that just not being enough to be a serious threat. And I know that they probably going to do that annual, let's make a big trade, or let's get some new role players, or let's turn over the roster. But if Kawhi Leonard's not going to be there and he's not going to deliver, then it's all just a waste of time. You know, I still cover it because the fans want to know what I think, but it's really getting tired and a little old of seeing this same team go through the same exact thing each and every year with their franchise player and expecting something to be different when it's been going on for 5+ years almost. So it's an end coming to this, and Kawhi Leonard should be out in the NBA because most people are not going to give him this type of opportunity as he gets older, and this type of chance as he continues to get older. And realistically, it makes sense not to. And I'm a Kawhi Leonard fan. I'm a Kawhi Leonard believer. I'm one of his mentors because I know him in person. But this is just ridiculous. It's coining and playing the NBA to a certain extent. But I do got to say, he's not healthy. So if he's not really healthy and he really can't play, there's nothing I can say, but you just can't build around this guy. You just can't. It's just giving your fans false hope that one day things are going to change when it's been this way consistently ever since he stepped in there when they blew the lead against Denver. That was probably the only chance they had to actually winning a championship was year number one with Paul George, Patrick Beverly, Lou Williams, Montrezl Harrell, and Kawhi Leonard. That was the chance for them to be able to win the title, and they was up 3-1 against the Denver Nuggets and still blew that lead and still blew that series. And then they just had to beat the Lakers. Then they get the Heat. They match up good against both of those teams. I like their chances against both of those teams, but they didn't put themselves in the position to ultimately win that game because they blew game 7-2, and they was down by a lot. So all I can say is this is one of the most disappointing duos. This is one of the most disappointing runs. And even though they did get to the conference finals once, we expected this team to be a championship team. We expected this team to win at least one championship, and they really wasn't close outside of one season. And that was something, if you would have told me that 6 years ago, I would have thought you would be crazy. They got Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, Lou Williams, Patrick Beverly, and Montrezl Harrell, and other players on this roster, and they only got to one conference finals, and they was in the prime of their career, playing their best basketball, coming off a championship. Kawhi Leonard, Paul George coming off an All NBA first team, possibly again, and they get together and they balling like that with the Thunder, and they balling like that with the Raptors, and they come together with good role players, and you telling me that they didn't win nothing? Well, as crazy as it sounds, years later, it's the truth. But other than that, comment, like, subscribe, share, and hit the notification bell for more analysis coming your way each and every day. If you like this video, you will like my other videos on my channel, so feel free to check out any video that you may have missed or you may wanted to see in your free time, because I cover the NBA basically 365, so it's always a video that you may have missed or you couldn't see or you couldn't watch for whatever the reason is. And I'm just reminding you, I like when you guys are active. I'm liking when you watching the content, because that helps me know that you still want to see what I do on this channel, which is obvious because I see the numbers. Other than that, thanks for watching. Thanks for enjoying the content. Thanks for supporting the channel any way that you can. And don't forget to share the video too. The more people that can see it, the more people that can enjoy it, the better it is for me and the better it is for the content. And then it just motivates me to keep going. Thanks for watching.